Broadcasting from the Merritt Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
From the historic Why Not Saloon in Carson City, Nevada, welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today are my amazing colleagues, Big Richard Martin and Gator Gates. Fellas, let's start as usual with football. And unfortunately, we must start with some terrible news from the National Football League.
Yes, Joe, it's heartbreaking news from Damar Hamlin, the safety out of the University of Pittsburgh, 2 years, 24 years old, comes up with a cardiac arrest, heart stops on the field. Totally heartbreaking to see, and just the pain and anguish on all the players' faces.
Yeah, it was scary watching him get up and fall flat on his back, kind of like a boxer, knocked out on his feet. And as you said, he was dead at one point.
Yes.
And you look back in the history, you say, well, nobody has died in the National Football League, but it did happen once.
It did happen now. And what about the injury to the Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker? Remember, was it Shamar that went out with a paralyzed injury, and you know, he's now never be able to play football again. And that's also, it was that was hard. That's the only thing I can see coming close. Maybe the Stingley injury from the New England when hit by Jack Tatum.
You're much more likely to get paralyzed than you are dying, obviously. 1971, Chuck Hughes was dying on the field, and they played the final minute of the game anyway. So
we're more sensitive, a lot more sensitive league now, and I think we've come a long way from maybe the barbaric years.
Yeah. So,
well, what got me was, you know, the defensive player making the tackle, and he got hurt. It wasn't that.
Yeah,
it wasn't like the offensive player. So that was really strange.
Yeah. So anyway, so he had a heart attack. It was the guy who passed away, arteriosclerosis, heart disease. So maybe there's some kind of lingering. Yes, Reggie Lewis too also died on the court. There have been other cases.
All right.
And as far as Hughes, there was no evidence. He had taken numerous tests. He felt pain, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. So maybe
definitely our players of the week are the great staff of the Cincinnati paramedics that came out there, initiated CPR, hooked up the defibrillator, and actually, you know, saved his life. So shout out to you guys.
I guess he's getting CPR for 9 minutes.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky, actually, in football that it happens like this. When you consider like auto racers, and there was Ray Chapman in 1920 who got hit in the head with a baseball. Jockeys, boxers.
Dale Earnhardt,
yes.
NASCAR.
Ayrton Senna, if you like Formula One.
Yep.
Hank Gathers, basketball player.
Yes, Hank Gathers with Loyola Marymount. Yep.
It's happened in swimming, wrestling, soccer, and even volleyball. So, so we're lucky in
with
football
with the contact sport that it is, and it is a violent sport, contact sport, and you don't think of it being life-threatening, but it's a very, very physical sport.
And there's no reschedule on the game, and there possibly will be no reschedule on the game.
I think they should give them both ties. That's what I think.
Well, that seems like it would be just a no game, no play. It depends on Kansas City this week. Right. They're playing the Raiders. They're the number one seed. So if they don't play the game, they both would still have a home field advantage. They both would have a home game because they're both division leaders.
And there's also a possibility of Baltimore winning the division over Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. So that is another factor.
Sure. Okay. And then, exactly. And then who does Baltimore play this week?
That's why I think they should get the tie.
Well, tie would be the similar. So,
Baltimore would get.
They do play Cincinnati. They play Cincinnati this week, so they'll be right there anyway. That would be determined anyway.
Okay. Right there, you go.
So maybe they don't have to play it. And I think that's kind of what the NFL wants to do at this point. I mean, for revenue, sure they want to play. That was the game of the year, and so for revenue and
started that way too.
Right,
started off great.
So,
well, getting to some cheerier news. What else happened during week 17 in the NFL?
Well, the Chargers and the Jags both won this week. So the Chargers clinched their spot, and Jags now control their own destiny. If they can beat Tennessee, they'll win their division.
Right. Kansas City is the number 1 seed, barely beat Denver, surprisingly. Kansas City's looking a little shaky, I would say, lately.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a trap game, knowing that, how bad Denver's played all year and how much Patrick Mahomes owns them. What's that up? 15 straight wins. He's got to get.
They didn't look that great the week before either.
No, but actually Buffalo controls their destiny for the number 1 seed. Kansas City would need a win and a Buffalo loss. So Cincinnati needs to beat Buffalo and Baltimore and get a Kansas City loss.
So the only thing would make sense on this if they did play that game on a Thursday night, and then the next game would be maybe the Tuesday to give them 5 days rest. If the winner would win the division, would have the bye, and the loser would play Tuesday. I think that'd be the only fair way to even get through this. I've heard them even,
that, yeah.
Or they can cancel the bye week that you have in between the championship game and the Super Bowl. So multiple things to do.
I prefer that route. Let's get through these games. Let's see how important this Cincinnati Buffalo game is. If it is important, they will be the only team to play that weekend. Right. Everybody gets the week off, and that will eliminate the week between the championships and the Super Bowl.
And everybody gets a little bit of rest, and
everybody's going to get rest.
Exactly.
Except for Buffalo.
Well, pretty much Cincinnati and Buffalo did get a bye because they didn't have to. They only played 5 minutes. So
that's a very good point. So yes, Pittsburgh won at Baltimore. And now, as you said, the Tennessee-Jacksonville winner will win the AFC South. Tennessee didn't try to win. Jacksonville did, and they both ended up playing as expected.
Is Jacksonville one of the hottest teams right now? I mean, they just smoked Houston 31-3. Everybody's been saying how Houston covers every week. They play good every week, and they just demolished them. Not even a game, I would say, Joe.
No, it wasn't. They crushed them.
Right.
So
Jacksonville will get a home field game. And who would have thought at the beginning of the year that Jacksonville would be hosting a playoff game this year? If you're a season ticket holder for Jacksonville, good job, because you got yourself a home game, and
they
you get a home playoff game.
That franchise sure needs it, though.
Doug Peterson doing a heck of a job coaching that team.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, and that would be the Chargers. If they win, that's who would be going to Jacksonville.
They would have a shot.
Baltimore would need a win and a Charger loss.
Well, what about the Pats? To get up past this, the Patriots they edged out Miami.
Right.
And so they now control their own destiny.
Right. In order, we have New England, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Jacksonville can still get in as a wild card, even if they lose. But they're fourth on the list, and they need every other team to lose.
Every other team to lose. So Pittsburgh gets in if Miami loses and the Patriots lose. If Miami loses to the Jets and the Patriots lose to the Bills, which is a possibility. And if the Pittsburgh they beat Cleveland,
Pittsburgh could
very well. They can get in there, and Tomlin who has never had a losing season, would be 9-8 and be able to get in the playoffs again.
That's right.
And coming in hot too.
They're playing great defense, and Kenny Pickett's getting it done as a rookie quarterback. It was a great last-minute throw. If you saw that game,
he was amazing in that.
Sure, that was dry. So that shows poise and shows that maybe they did make the right choice on that pick.
The last 2 games, he's looked good right at the end of the game.
So
yes.
Talk about players who didn't look good, Joe. We'll talk about the NFC. How about Carson Wentz? 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, getting booed off the field, and doesn't even get to suit up next week. Don't even come. Go home. Go back to North Dakota, and it's Sam Howell, and it's going to not start, but he is going to pick up after Hinkey's going to start, and Sam Howell's going to play the second half.
I hear Sam Howell is going to start now.
So they say
changed the plan on that.
Okay, so we will see Sam Howell from a rookie out of the University of North Carolina. Had multiple good years there, and a great arm, and we'll see how he does this week as a starter.
Okay, there's a couple things to mention there down the road. We'll talk about that. And looking at the NFC, how about New Orleans winning at Philadelphia? Did anybody have that on their Pick the Pros?
I don't think very many people. I thought Philadelphia could have locked it up.
4 people did.
More people. Congratulations.
But maybe they had multiple tickets, and and they,
I would not.
Wow.
So anyway,
So
we move on. San Francisco won at Vegas, a very entertaining game.
very
In
entertaining.
overtime.
What about Jarrett Stidham? 365 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and he rushed for 34 yards. So
Who needs Derek Carr?
who needs Derek Carr? Derek Carr and Carson Wentz are now in Las Vegas playing blackjack.
And everybody who thought, San Francisco's defense, you can't score on them. Well, Vegas got 34 on them. So that gives hope to the rest of the NFC teams that
Right.
maybe
It's not
you can actually
the
score.
defensive
on
dynasty that everybody was saying it was.
Not quite.
Yeah, but Purdy got the job done. They came back with an overtime win. So San Francisco
No.
wins again. And that makes it 9 in a row.
Yes.
Mhm.
Maybe a slight weakness in defense and a rookie quarterback for San Francisco could be their weaknesses.
Right.
But they're so balanced.
No, they're solid. No doubt.
Yeah.
No,
So-
that's why they're going to be a 2 or 3 seed for sure.
And let's
Or
look at
maybe
Tampa
the one
Bay.
seed.
Tampa Bay, they
Mhm.
clinched their division win
Yes.
by fault. They're still what are they now? Their record is
8-8.
8-1. So
Yeah.
with Tom Brady, having that great game, he had 432 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 long bombs to Evans. And I'm thinking that, do you start Tom Brady this week?
I wouldn't. I would just.
Okay,
say,
so
well,
I'll give you guys a sink or swim. Here's your sink or swim, Gator.
Okay.
All right. Sink or swim. Tom Brady has never had a losing season.
Oh my gosh.
I would say he has.
I would say he has not.
I say he has.
He has not ever had a losing
No,
season.
wow.
So he has not
Well,
ever
they
been on a
probably
losing season.
would.
So
I strike again.
So how many years has he been in the league?
over 20 years.
Over 20 years
yeah,
and has
so-
not had him. Jeez.
So this would be the first year they're playing. I think they said if they're gonna play. They said they're gonna keep the gas, the foot on the gas, and they said whatever that means by the head
Well-
coach it means they're gonna try to win the game. They're gonna try to go, but I think maybe he'll play the first half. That's what I would see.
I would say if he played a quarter, I guess that would be okay. Just get rid of the ball fast, hand it off a lot, get that
Well,
rhythm going. But
Rushing, they have not done a very good job in Tampa Bay running the ball. Ferret only had 35 yards last week, and they definitely are hurting in the running the football department.
well, Green Bay was amazing, 41-17 against Minnesota. They're certainly on a roll.
So, Joe, I'm asking you, are you on the pack wagon?
I am.
So you jump on board the pack wagon,
I picked them to win the division before the season started.
and it looked like a sure
Pretty slow
loss
start.
there. And then they were mathematically
Well, they were
2% chance or something to even make the playoffs.
Well, they were 4-8, so
Right.
they won 4 in a row,
4 in a row.
8-8, and now they control their own destiny.
Sure.
Dallas won at Tennessee. They'll be the team probably playing in Tampa Bay,
Right.
but you never know. Maybe Philadelphia could lose. I don't know. New York has nothing to play for.
They did make that game, Green Bay, Detroit, the Sunday game.
Yes. Well, that was important.
So that goes to the Philly game you're talking about.
Mhm.
What do you do this week with an injured Jalen Hurts?
He's
You
got-
swim with Jalen Hurts. If he gets injured, your playoffs are
No.
over. Your season's over.
Well, you just sank with Gardner Minshew last week, so
Yes.
you're
Yes.
going to try to swim with Jalen Hurts this week.
If you can play
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni, he's got a pretty tough decision to make here, and that's why you pay the head coach the money. He said if he's can play, but he also made a comment about DeMar Hamlin's injury, showing that with these type of injuries,
Yeah.
the player's health are first, and so that's going to be a coin toss.
If you can actually get this victory, then you have the bye week, so you can rest up a little bit.
Right.
So
Well,
that
let's
could
just
be a
talk
spot.
about Seattle going in there, and everybody thought that the Jets would probably take that. It was a pick'em game, and Seattle just, now they're in a good position to get into a playoffs. They're still the 8th seed trying to get in. If Green
Yeah.
Bay wins, the Green Bay will get that last
Green
7th
Bay
seed.
gets it. So Seattle does not control their own destiny.
They don't, but they put themselves in a good position too. They have it, and they play the Rams this week. So,
Okay.
and then
In
you have
Seattle.
Detroit just throttled Cornelius's Bears. I mean, just throttled them. I had the over on that, and if that ain't a you got hosed story, I don't know, because they got to 41. All I needed was a field goal, and it looked like it looked like Chicago gave up. I mean, I really did. Like on the offense part of the side of the field, it looked like they gave up.
You know what? It really could be a you got hosed story.
Oh, no,
Believe
it
it or
really
not.
could be a you got hosed story.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm
Yes.
sorry to steal your thunder there,
No,
John.
that's okay. I'll take my turn on that.
Okay.
One too. All right. So as we said, Philly wins, they're the 1 seed. San Francisco wins, they're the 2 seed. Unless Philly loses, then they're the 1 seed. Minnesota is a 3 seed for now. We'll see what happens with
They
the
could
other
move
2
down to the
teams.
4 seed. Oh,
Tampa
no, the
Bay-
5th seed. They could be either. Is it
Well, Minnesota is going to be the worst they can be is 3.
right? Because they're
Right,
they're division winners, so they'll
Right.
be
And
3.
Tampa Bay locked into the 4.
Yep.
Dallas could go anywhere from 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Wow.
Well, not 4 or 5 because 4 is Tampa Bay,
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 5.
Right.
Right.
and the
it
Giants are
appears-
locked in at 6.
It appears Dallas will be playing in Tampa Bay
Right.
at the moment. New York Giants locked into the 6.
Right.
Number 7, Green Bay. If they win, Seattle and Detroit still alive. I couldn't figure out exactly how that
And
works.
They moved that to
I
the
think
because
Detroit needs
Detroit-
Seattle to lose.
Detroit needs Seattle to lose, and they have to beat Green Bay. That's the only way they can get in,
Yeah.
and they have to lose to the Baker Mayfield Rams.
Okay. So, what are the biggest player news for this week? We already talked about Jalen Hurts. Is he going to play or not? We don't know exactly. I'm thinking so.
Lamar Jackson hasn't practiced all week, so it looks like he's a no-go this week. Teddy Bridgewater and Tua I take the team Tagovailoa is out. They're going to go with
Skylar
Skywalker Thompson from Kansas State,
Okay.
rookie for Kansas State.
Sam Ellinger is going to start for Indianapolis, and Nathan Peterman's going to start for Chicago. So,
And no telling what they'll do with the Giants as they clinch the 6. They have no reason to play their starters.
absolutely none.
So I
Getting
would
14 points at Philly. It looks like Philly is going to win that game, regardless of who they put out on that field.
it's a division game, Joe. You just can't put it past them. Philly looks very shaky right now.
Mhm.
And Kelsey, their guard, said that, I don't care. I don't give 2 beep about what place we're in, 1, 2, 3, or 4. We need to get some stuff put
Mhm.
together, and I have to agree with them.
Mhm.
Well, winning by 1 is winning.
Winning by 1 is winning. They could be New Orleans by 1. We wouldn't even be talking about this.
That's right, for sure. Taking a look at our weekly betting trends, just quickly, 8 underdogs and 7 favorites covered last week. 9 games went under and 6 went over. We told everybody to lean towards the dogs and unders this year.
The dogs are barking again. The dogs are barking. They were in them
All the
again.
time.
So the Rain Man had the dogs again. He showed us that the dogs hit
Mhm.
again.
Yes, indeed. So through week 17, that's 144 dogs and 111 favorites, 142 unders and 113 over. Why does this happen? I don't know, but the books certainly know what they're doing,
Sure do.
setting up those spreads. So again, we thank,
Especially this late in the season.
right? So again, we thank Butch, the Rain Man Roberts for those stats. Okay. So Big Rich, what are your point spread selections for week 18?
Well, we have to start with, we got Tim over here is talking about the San Francisco. They're going to win out. He's predicted, Tim. Yep. Tim's saying that his San Francisco 49ers are going to take that number 1 seed.
Well, they're favored by 14 points against
good-
Arizona.
You're right. And he would need some help to get there. He would need a Philadelphia loss and a Dallas loss. Is that correct? For the 49ers to get in?
Yeah, I think
So-
Dallas could still pass up the 49ers. That's
Right.
right. That's a possibility.
So, all right, Tim, we're going to go with your team there. I say they cover the 14 against the lowly Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take Belichick in the 7.5. How can you get 7.5 points to the Patriots? The Bills are kind of shooken up over this week. I think that, the
Yes.
Bills probably will win, but 7.5, way too many points for New England. I like Miami +1 against the Jets, even though they're going to go with Skywalker Thompson. They got to get that win, and they could back into the playoffs if the Bills can take care of business. Pittsburgh, the pick of the week, -3 points. Yep, Jacob, your Steelers are going to get it done, and they're -3 against Cleveland. Even though Watson has been playing a lot better, and he had a great game last week, actually, and starting to look like he's getting it together. But Pittsburgh is at home. You got to stay with Pittsburgh. I'm going with Dallas -6.5. Washington. I think they go in there and throttle. Like you just said, we're going to see Sam Howell playing quarterback. And I like Jacksonville -6.5. Tennessee tanking again. The Tennessee tanking Titanics are out of here. Get Trevor Lawrence a playoff home game. I'm going with the Jags.
All right, Gator. What do you think of that? Have any agreement there on any of that?
Oh, actually, I agree with almost all of them. I think Jacksonville is going to kill Tennessee. I think Pittsburgh, they got everything, all their momentum. So, yeah, I think they're going to beat them by 3, beat Cleveland by 3. The only one I'm worried about is San Francisco -14. They're going to win, but they're going to cover.
Yeah, they could look up at the scoreboard and
Cruise.
just cruise. We got this easy. Maybe give up a late touchdown, backdoor cover for Arizona. It's possible.
I see more games to stay away from than try to like Indy and Texas. Okay, I think that's a game to stay away from.
That's a toilet bowl.
Why is Indianapolis favored against anybody? I don't
Exactly.
know, but I can't quite pull the trigger on.
Maybe
the
it's a way
Texans.
Jeff Saturday could save his job, and he could if he could pull
Yeah,
the game
that's
against the
good.
Texas, and the Texas can move on to our next segment and look for a great quarterback in that draft.
And then the other one that's
Well, that's-
interesting for me to watch would be Baltimore and Cincy. I mean, Cincy playing at home, Baltimore. Now all the things that just happened. So
Well,
how do you
Lamar
take
Jackson
that
doesn't
game?
play.
Right,
No.
but I'm just saying what Cincinnati team's going to be out there.
It's hard to say.
Well, if it was the
Hard to
Joe
say.
Burrow of the first half, he was 4 for 4 with a touchdown and getting ready to roll again.
Oh, it started off great, man.
So Cincinnati's
Cincinnati
looking
goes
strong
down,
right
Buffalo
now.
goes down. Yeah, game started.
Bengal
off just
Nation.
like-
Who that say they're going to
Well-
beat those Bengals? I don't know. Who's going to
Yeah.
be.
I've got Bengals in my Super Bowl,
So there you go.
but we'll make our predictions next week.
Okay.
Yep. So is that it, Gator?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Well, I went 2-1 last week, winning with the Giants and the over in the Green Bay game. I lost on the over in Detroit. And Cincinnati obviously was postponed. That puts me at 39-19-1 over the last 15 weeks.
It's awesome.
That's 67%.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you. Gator.
Good job, Joe.
That's hard.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
All
hard.
right. So,
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, okay. We'll give.
No,
They
why
don't call him
not?
Joe
We
the
got-
answer for nothing there. You know, I'm telling you.
Get the why not
Against the
mark,
spread, that's amazing, actually. So that's a great job this year, handicapping the games. All you listeners out there probably got your wife a nice little present because you could have gotten something.
well,
Yep.
we're not quite done with the season yet.
Okay.
All right. This week, I'm picking teams, obviously, that need to win. Of course, I'm taking Seattle minus the 6.5 against the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going with Pittsburgh -3, just like you guys at home versus Cleveland. As you know, Steeler head coach Mike Tomlin never had a losing season. What's his record right now? 8-8.
Right.
What does that tell you?
Tells you not gonna have a losing season, Joe.
He's
That's
not
what
gonna
it's
have-
gonna
I'm trying Dallas, just like you. I saw -5.5. You say it's up to 6.5.
I see them
That's
going
okay.
higher.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's okay.
wow.
That's
I bet you
okay.
it's 7 by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And 7.5 at game time.
That could be an issue. They play at the same time that the Eagles do. If they look up on the scoreboard and see that the Eagles are winning comfortably, that might take away some of the Cowboys' motivation.
Very good point, Joe.
So I might be a little worried about that. But there is Sam Howell, that rookie quarterback for Washington. So I like that. And lastly, I'm picking Green Bay -4.5 against Detroit.
Oh, Joe, you're going against Campbell and the Lions?
Packers have won 4 straight. It's Aaron Rodgers, right?
It's outside, and you
It's
know how
a division
Detroit's a
game.
different team in the cold.
Detroit's a much
Be
different
it
team on the
5:30
road.
game, be a late game on Sunday, so it will be colder.
Much better at home, Detroit. I don't think Aaron Rodgers came all this way just to lose now.
I think he in his interview it looked like he was already making plans for the playoffs.
He sounds super confident.
He does.
And we think again, the why not as we the historic why not here in Carson City. And as we move on to college football now. And whoa, boy, what were the big results from last week's game?
Well, can you tell me that the college football playoff committee finally got it right? Yeah, the right
Yeah.
4 teams, because it could not have been Gator. It could not have been any better
That
game.
was great. Yeah, all of them.
those all 4 games in the bowls this season were great. Is now we're down to only one more college football game of this year, the national championship game. And there was just some great games. But let's just start with that TCU win. Stunning Michigan Wolverines, 7.5-point dogs. Joe, you called it. I'll let you talk about it.
Well, I just love myself some TCU. I've been loving them all year. The no respect team.
I agree.
Doug Dugan getting it done.
Keep giving them points all the time.
Okay, but maybe we should have the Heisman Trophy after this game, because I think Max Dugan might have slipped by Caleb Williams. If you watch that game, that might have changed a couple of the votes.
Why don't they do the Heisman Trophy when the entire season is over?
I think for fairness that some of the teams who can't play in the bowl games, even because might have a great offense, you might be a great player, and your defense is terrible. Yes, that's you, USC. And it could not give it an unfair advantage to a team with a better defense. I think that's the reasoning behind it. But I think that we should see all the games before we say who are the best college football players.
Without question.
Screw USC.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We got some anti-Trojans. And I don't think they're the ones that come in the liquor store. So
I can't really say what Trojans are good for on this radio show, but I'll tell you guys later after the show. Georgia did beat Ohio State to join TCU.
You said the game couldn't get any better, and then it gets better.
That was amazing.
And I'm going to tell you my You Got Hosed story about that, because due to the snowstorm, this Big Richard couldn't watch the game because we had a power outage. I was watching on my phone, a 3-inch screen. Thank you very much, Apple phone. I was able to watch a little bit of it, but CJ Stroud did not look as good on my iPhone as I think he would on my 70-inch TV. But we got snowed out. We didn't get to see it. We saw the first half, but we called it here on the show, Joe. We told you CJ Stroud was going to come out and play. And boy, did he play. 348 yards, 30-some yards rushing with 4 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Not to be undone by Stetson Bennett. 398 yards and 3 touchdowns and a comeback win at the end. You guys know who the kicker is that missed the game-winning 50-yarder? Oh, my God. No one knows his name because he's no longer on the team.
Yeah.
But Ohio State had a chance to win it. 50-yarder. That's not a chip shot. You just give him that. But, man.
He had made one earlier in the game about that same distance, but I didn't like the play calling at the end of the game. They could have got closer. They ran the ball once and just burned a timeout just to waste like 5 seconds and a timeout. They needed to be throwing the ball down the field with all that.
But did you see the
pressure.
kick, Joe? It looked like a wiffle ball. I couldn't believe it hooked left like I threw a wiffle ball at my 10-year-old kid in the backyard. I've never seen a ball hook that far, not even close to even be considered a college collegiate kick, I would say. So the pressure might have got to him.
Without a doubt. So were there any other games?
Well, we have to talk about the last Rose Bowl the traditional Rose Bowl era comes over 100 years having the Big Ten and Pac-12 playing for over 100 years in the Rose Bowl. We've had some great games with the USC, UCLA, Ohio State, Penn State, Franco Harris. But Penn State got it done. And I think the running back was wearing 34 Franco Harris's number, and he said that was a great honor. And they pounded the Utes. I didn't see that coming. I thought Utah would play better, just like they did last year against Ohio State. But Penn State got it done and won the Rose Bowl. And what about Alabama?
Well,
the Sugar Bowl.
We get going, I just want to say, how about Penn State? The third best team in the Big Ten beats the best team from the Pac-10.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Obviously, and people were talking about, obviously 2 teams from the Big Ten made the playoff. They're saying, well, a Pac-10 team that USC won should have been in the playoff, but obviously not.
Obviously, the Pac-12 had no business being around TCU and the Horned Frogs. They got it right, College Football Committee. Good job.
Okay. And back to Alabama, you're saying. They beat
Alabama.
Kansas State.
And it was great that Bryce Young played and Will Anderson Jr. played, and they just thumped K-State a little bit too much for the boys out there in Manhattan, Kansas. Deuce played good. The Deuce was loose, but he got a little banged up.
He is a little guy.
He is a little guy. We're not going to say anything about little guys on the show, Joe. Right, Carlos? We cannot say anything about little guys on the show. But anyway, he looks the only guy smaller or shorter than the ball boy and the water boy was the running back for K-State. And no, he's actually going to be an NFL player. He's a great player. And, he's definitely entered the draft.
Next Darren Sproles.
Exactly. State. And he was actually a terrific player, and he'll be a kick returner at the very minimum at the next level in the pros. So he'll have a good payday. It was good to see him play because he didn't have to play. And you see that it did. Would you say sink or swim? Bryce Young, his stock has improved after that big game against K-State?
Absolutely.
So it is good. CJ Stroud.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So these guys that played
this game, 1 and 2, the Bears already have their quarterback. So it'll be 1 will be Houston, and whoever picks number 3 will be looking at that other quarterback.
And you got Seattle sitting there with the Denver pick. It might be a good. They have a very good chance to get one of these franchise quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. Any other games catch your eye?
The Orange Bowl. What about Tennessee plummeting Clemson? I mean, how far can you go down?
How orange can you get?
How orange can you get?
Bowl?
I mean,
Tennessee.
I think that
Clemson.
they had some. I think Tennessee got healthy. I think that their defense probably got some players back because they just didn't look like the same team that played Georgia.
No, they didn't.
Well, you got to give Joe Milton some credit. He had 251 yards and 3 touchdowns, filling in for Hendon Hooker, and it looked like Hendon Hooker out there actually. So, but Jalen Watt didn't play. He opted out for the draft, and so they still got it done. So
beat him by 17, I believe.
Cade Klubnik didn't have any touchdowns and threw 2 interceptions. But that's the rookie out of Texas we were talking about, the freshman. But he did have 320 yards rushing and 51 yards rushing, 320 yards passing with a touchdown on the ground. Not a bad game, something to build on for them for the future. Clemson next year will be right back in the mix.
Okay.
What about the best game probably of the whole bowl game, Joe? It was the Liberty Bowl. Kansas comes back against Arkansas. Did you see that where the coach – okay, so they're down by must have been 13 points or something like that, and they throw the Gatorade on the coach. Next thing you know, Arkansas fumbles. Kansas goes down, scores a touchdown, gets the onside kick, goes and scores another touchdown, and takes it to overtime.
Sounds about right.
And the coach is sitting in his Gatorade thinking, oh, my God, am I the first losing coach to get a Gatorade thrown on him in the history of sports?
Oh, I've seen it happen before.
Okay, so hold that Gatorade. You might have jinxed himself. You ever played baseball where you don't put the gear away until you got the win, even though you're winning by 9 runs? You don't. You got to wait till you have the win before you throw the Gatorade.
You don't pull all your starters out in the 6th inning because you're up by 8 runs.
That's exactly right. Play to the end. But Arkansas gets it done in 3 overtimes, and which I thought was great about how the
2-point
overtime
conversion.
Yeah, so you go 1 overtime, you can kick the extra point. 2 overtimes, you have to go for 2. The 3rd overtime, it's just 2-point conversions. There's no more forward plays. It's just 1 play to get it in until we have a winner.
That sounds great. Yeah.
We've seen like 7 overtime games before in the past.
Right. So it's good not to play 4. I mean, it just takes the hits away from the players. I mean, you got 1 play to win, get it done. So I thought it was great. The Cotton Bowl is probably just as good for everybody that hates USC here in the bar. You got it right. Because Caleb Williams was up the same thing, up by I think we were up by 7 points and getting the ball. The kickoff. They get it, and the USC kick returner drops the ball out of bounds on the 1-yard line. So that gave them a safety, which made it a 5-point game. They get the onside kick. Oh no, they held them, got the ball back and won with 9 seconds left.
They were down 15 with like 4 minutes left.
Wow.
Scored the touchdown,
the green wave
on the 1, got the safety,
took care of the Heisman Trophy. Awesome.
And that call that was overturned at the end where he actually did catch it.
Right.
They got it right.
That's good.
Well,
good
that definitely was my favorite game because USC lost and the better team won.
Right.
I must say, because you have to have some defense in order to be a good team.
Right. And there is no D in California. So I'm telling you right now, except for the Democrats. But besides that, we'll get into what about your we said that Oklahoma would play good. Gabriel played good and covered the spread against Florida State.
Slightly disappointed. They didn't win the game, but they covered the game.
We told you Gabriel
easily.
was going to play good, and he was up to it. He was the Rockin' man, and probably maybe give Caleb Williams maybe a run for the Heisman next year.
I'd like to see that.
I'm sure you would, Joe.
Yes.
Okay.
So Here we go. The big one. What do you like in the championship game Monday night?
All right. What do you think, though, Gator? I'm going to you got any Gatorlytics for us?
No, I'm going with my heart, and in my heart I want TCU, but I think betting purposes, I think you gotta go with Georgia.
It's 12.5 points right now.
And
So you think it's going to go higher than that?
I don't think Georgia beats them by 12.5.
No, but yeah, I think the line will probably go higher than that.
I don't think so. I think that's a
Good
pretty
job.
good line right there.
Okay.
I think it should not be double digits. I mean,
TCU's
okay, I'll give
great.
Michigan this. They had the ball 4 times inside the 3-yard line, and they only came with 6 points. They fumbled once. They didn't make it on downs once, and then they scored 2 field goals. So you're not going to get it done. Michigan.
Defense wins championships, offense sells tickets.
Well, we'll see what happens. I think Duggan's going to get it done. I'm going to take the 12.5. I'm going to take the 12.5.
Yeah, well, it's how many times have I said this all year? No respect
Nick.
for freaking TCU. Come on, give me a break. And here they are in the championship game, and they're getting 12.5. I love the 12.5. The over 62.5. If you watch those 2 games the other day,
Right.
how do you not go over also? Because it seems like both teams can
60
score.
points is a lot
It's
of
a ton.
points.
It's a ton.
How many was it
What's the
for?
money line?
What was you got host story? That was what, 50? That was 52.
That's the pros.
That's the pros.
I'll just roll them wide open.
Okay.
All right. So last week, Georgia over TCU was minus 17.5. So TCU is getting, the possible
4.5
championship game
points
spread.
respect.
They got 5 points respect now.
All right.
Yes. TCU at the beginning of the year, 200-1 to win the championship.
Wow.
Yeah, so what's the money line now?
I bet you it's still, I bet you
Plus
there's,
300 or so.
yeah, it'd have to be something like that.
Yeah. And Georgia was
4 to 1
about as
dogs.
high as 4-1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the other championship game, South Dakota State and North Dakota State playing for the FCS championship. Should also be a good game, but unfortunately, they think they're playing it on Sunday when all the NFL games are being played. So I didn't like the scheduling on that. Should be
Well, a rivalry.
well. That's going to be.
Championship game.
They're playing in Texas.
Playing in
which is gonna be
Texas.
interesting.
Yeah.
Frisco, Texas. Traveling all the way over there.
We can always record that and watch that at a different time.
That'd be nice. Maybe we can get one TV on that screen somewhere.
Right.
So Gator,
Yeah.
we're going to move on.
Okay.
Here at the beautiful Why Not? What's the news from the National Hockey League?
Okay, well, Monday we had that Winter Classic game, Joe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was at Fenway Park. They had 39,000 people there.
Nice.
That's about twice as much as you usually get. But let's see, Boston. Beat
Is that
Pittsburgh.
capacity? Is that capacity for Fenway?
No, I think it would be 60.
Can't be that. No, not at
Yeah,
Fenway.
Fenway's
An older
probably-
stadium.
Yeah. That's about capacity. That's a good question.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They haven't added nothing to it, huh? Yeah, okay. Well, all these other stadiums like Wrigley,
we-
they add to them all.
We got our
Yeah, you can
statistician on it. I'm
access-
swimming.
yeah.
It was sold out. I'm swimming. It was sold out.
Oh,
Okay.
Sure it was.
Okay. So, well, Boston did beat Pittsburgh 2-1 in that game, and they the victory puts Boston 4-1 all time in outdoor games, and that Pittsburgh falls to 2-4. But Thurston Jari was pulled with an injury with 4:30 left in the first, and it was 0-0 at that time.
Okay.
So,
You think it was an outside the stadium type of injury could have been?
well, it was kind of strange because we were watching the game, and the Jari's over there looking at the bench and wanted to get pulled, and he was babying his foot.
Oh,
So it took him a while before they did pull him. I would say about 3-4 minutes before he actually did pull him.
Okay.
So it couldn't be that serious, I wouldn't think.
Okay.
yes. So it actually holds 37,000 normally for baseball, and they got
Yeah,
39,000 in there
yeah.
for hockey.
Good.
We had
Okay,
2,000
good.
people in the bathroom.
Well, the game was played in ideal conditions. I mean, it was 51 degrees, so it wasn't that warm or cold. And the cloud cover blocked the sun the whole time. But what was really neat, Joe, is that they were playing in throwback jerseys from the baseball team. So Pittsburgh was wearing the Pirates jerseys, and the Boston
Oh.
Bruins were wearing the Red Sox jerseys.
Yeah, that was neat. No doubt about it. One of the better outdoor games we've had,
I agree. Yes.
and it was close and everything. It was
Yes.
a good game. And Seattle hosts Las Vegas next year.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. They're going to be up in Seattle for the 2024. That's
So
correct.
that should be a really good one.
Forgot about that.
Okay. So back to the regular games right now. Which teams are hot and which teams are not
Okay.
in the NHL?
Well, Carolina's 11-1, and Buffalo's 7-1. Joe, that's a
Okay.
shock to me.
Surprise.
A little bit. Tampa Bay 4-0, and Dallas was 4-0 until last night. They lost to the LA Kings.
Yeah.
But they're 4-1, and Ottawa's 4-1.
Okay. And who is not?
Well, we got Montreal. Well, Chicago. They're 1-13. They're the worst right now.
Right.
And then we have Columbus. They're trying to catch them. They're at 1-8.
They're getting there.
Right. Anaheim. They're 1-5. And Montreal is 0-6. Pittsburgh's 0-5 with that last one day.
Okay. So we'll see if those affect your picks at all. Your picks went 7-3 last week.
There you go, Gator, right at your 70% line.
It's
You're
just
still 69. He's going up percentage points every week.
Slightly.
0.001 every week.
Put you at 86-38 for the season. It rounds off still to 69%. What are your predictions for next week?
No, I guess consistency's okay.
No, it's really good.
Let's go Thursday. I have 4 games. Washington is going to be at Columbus. I'm going to take Washington. New York Rangers are going to be at Montreal. I'm going to take the Rangers. So both away teams there. New Jersey is going to be hosting St. Louis. I like the Devils. And Toronto is going to be hosting Seattle. And I like Toronto. Now, Friday, I have 1 game. Washington's going to be playing Nashville. I'm going to take Washington. Saturday, I have 2 games. Toronto is going to be hosting Detroit. I'm going to take Toronto. Boston has to travel to San Jose. I'll take Boston. Now, Sunday, Boston has to turn around and play Anaheim at Anaheim. So I'll take Boston again. I think they'll win both. And Monday, Buffalo is going to be hosting Philly. We'll take Buffalo, especially how hot they are. And Tuesday, Tampa Bay is playing Columbus. Columbus is on that cold streak. Gotta take Tampa Bay.
So if I want to see my Bruins, I got to go this Saturday and hurry up and get there. Over in
Hey, you
San
got
Jose.
2 chances.
And the
San
weather's
Jose, man.
the weather's terrible.
No.
I'm not
We
going
don't
all
wanna
the
go
way to
there.
Anaheim.
We can head down to
I've been to a
Vegas and
few.
head over to
I've been to
Anaheim.
a few Sharks games. I know my way around over there a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Sacramento
I've been
kid.
to them,
Yeah. Stockton.
Okay, stock.
I'm afraid to admit it.
yeah.
I do.
It's all right.
So, Big Rich, what are the stories from the National Basketball Association?
Well, who's hot, Joe? Is I got
Jonas.
Jonas. I want to say Jonathan Dumbo.
Antetokounmpo.
Okay, so he had 55 points last night. What would you say? And he's also had 3 straight games of 40 or more.
Wow.
Is he the only Milwaukee Buck to have 3 straight 40-point games? Sink or swim?
I would say sink, because there was a couple guys that had a good shot of doing that. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Yes, Lou Alcindor then.
who else under there, and maybe Oscar Robertson.
And no, it was another one, but it was actually 3 people who's ever done it. So
Oh,
you were
okay.
right. Way to go. But thanks for giving Gator a chance to chime in.
Sorry.
Doesn't matter. I would have known anyway.
Okay. Anyway, they're hot. He's hot. He's playing great basketball, and he's always fun to watch. But the hottest team in basketball is the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah,
12 in a row now,
unfortunately.
and they are just smoking people. I believe 3 out of their last 5 they beat the spread. Might have been 4 out of 5. I've been betting them this week and making up for my football bets. Thank you, Brooklyn Nets, for that. 76ers are 8-2 in their last 10. The Miami Heat have won 11 out of their last 13. Cavaliers are 7-3 behind Donovan Mitchell's 71-point game against Chicago. And guess what the NBA rewarded them with the next day? A PED test.
Oh,
Nice.
So, yeah, right. It is even possible. I think one of the greatest games since Kobe Bryant dropped 80.
Right.
So that was great to see. And over in the West, we have Dallas is playing good, and they had a great game. Muscle Dallas, I think he had a 20-20 game.
Tonkic?
Yeah, Kokic had that. And then also who's hot is we have Memphis. They've won 3 in a row, and they're 15-3 at home this year. So if you're at home, go ahead and take that bet. Golden State. Yes, that's right. The Golden State Warriors have won 5 in a row without Stephen Curry, even one game without Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson against the Utah Jazz. How do you score 13 points in the fourth quarter? Well, Utah did, and that's why they lost. And now your Stockton Sacramento Kings are in first place in the Pacific Division. They're 20-16.
I would have never believed that.
There you go. Had a win last night against the Utah Jazz. Maybe they scored 13 points again in the fourth quarter. I don't know. Also, Denver Nuggets are playing good. They're 24-13 on the Northwestern Division, and they are 14-3 at home. So in the Mile High City, take the Nuggets. And to put an injury report, Zion Williams out for 3 weeks at least with a groin injury.
So, okay. So what's happening in college basketball?
Well, college basketball, yes, there are no more undefeated teams as Purdue goes down to the Rutgers team that on a 3-point play at the end. And
same team that ruined their
run last year.
Yeah, that's right. Can't beat Rutgers.
So you can't beat Rutgers, the high-powered team out there from Jersey. And also the UConn falls to Xavier. They lost in Xavier this week, so they went down. So we got a new top 5 teams.
Wasn't New Mexico still undefeated?
Yes, Joe. Okay, New Mexico is up. They're not in the top 10. We're not going to call them. We're going to give them a little bit of the Northwest, your TCU, no respect.
They might have played last night. They might have lost last night. I don't know. New Mexico.
Right.
I don't know.
But they're,
I didn't.
they're in the WAC, I think. Come on now. Give me a choice. But they are down there. You play in the Pit. That's a great.
They're in Nevada's conference, Mountain West.
Mountain West. And so the Pit is a hard place to play. That is so.
Yeah.
We'll give them a little bit of respect there, but what about Texas, who was number 6, getting beat by K-State by 116-103? 116 for a college game, and don't say it was just a late game because they had 58 right on the money at halftime. So they ended up with 116 at Texas. Stunning loss. Good job out there for the boys and from Manhattan, Kansas. And we have to go to one more. So how about the TCU basketball team?
How about that? Right in the wave of the football team.
Right. They're 12-1, getting no respect either because they're rated
TCU.
70. They don't get no. If you wear purple, you don't get respect, obviously, in the college ranks. But they have games they won against Utah and Texas Tech. But Wednesday they play at Baylor. Make sure to watch that game and see if maybe those Horned Frogs are for real.
The Underfrogs.
The Underfrogs.
There you go.
Sound good.
All right, Gator. Did I see that the PGA Golf Tour is starting up again?
Yeah, we're having that Century Tournament at Chapman's that we have every year in Hawaii. Right. I would love to be reincarnated as a professional golfer. Spend the whole month of January over there in Hawaii. It'd be great. Biggest story, Joe, is that Rory McIlroy is not going to be there.
Oh,
and
any reason why? Yeah,
I don't know why.
Okay, all right. Maybe he just chose not to show up, hanging out.
Weather's not good enough Hawaii. I can't go.
Yeah. But
fair enough.
So for our betting purposes, Joe, we got John Rahm, and he's the favorite at 7-1.
Okay, that's not bad.
No,
well,
not
there's
bad
only
at all.
I counted like 39 players.
Okay.
Does that mean like 39 players actually won a tournament last year?
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how it was supposed to work. Is that if you won a tournament last year, then you're in this tournament. Yeah.
So you're telling me Tiger can't go?
No, he's not invited.
Exactly. But right after John Rahm being the favorite, our next tier, we have 4 different people that are 10-1, Joe. And that includes Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, and Alexander Schauffele.
So, all right.
But your guy, Jordan Spieth, is at 22-1. I don't think that's too terrible.
Well, first tournament out of the chute, you really don't know who's on fire or who's been practicing really well.
But great prices for your favorite golfers.
So. Might be worth a couple bucks.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, put $10 on Speed, you get 220.
Always look for those matchups, guys. That's, I would think, is a little easier.
And also good news for golf. The Masters is inviting the LIV players. I think it's a good idea, even though they are branching off from the PGA Tour. We need the best players at the best tournaments.
And again, here's my opinion on that, Joe, is all these golfers are contracted out, right? So why can't they just play at both? Why is it so hard? If you're contracted out, why can't I play over here a couple tournaments here?
I'm with you.
So I think that they should get
Well, it's a
quit this bickering.
it's a really bad rivalry right now.
Yeah,
Just the way it started with
situations.
Greg Norman and everything.
But the Masters, I guess, letting the LIV players play in the Masters at the start.
It's yeah.
It's
Maybe we
definitely
can,
the future. We're looking to see. That's definitely a
maybe we
step
can
to-
all just get along.
Yeah,
Nice hope so.
2023.
I don't know. We'll find out. But some quick baseball news. Shortstop Carlos Correa's issues with the New York Mets are over his surgically repaired right ankle, which he had done when he was in the minors back in 2014. And those have not been solved.
No.
Third baseman Evan Longoria signed with Arizona, played with San Francisco for a few years. And the Boston Red Sox have signed starting pitcher Corey Kluber away from Toronto. And finally, the Chicago Cubs got pretty good catcher, Tucker Barnhart, away from Detroit. And finally, the soccer world mourns the loss of Pele, arguably the best player ever, but certainly the best player of his generation.
Oh, yes, I would say that.
Yes. And congratulations to Michaela Schifrin, skier, 81 World Cup wins now, one behind Lindsey Vonn,
Yeah,
which is going to be pretty amazing.
should be second all time.
Yes. And both Americans too, which is really amazing. So Gator, it's that time. We talk about those stories where we thought we had winners, but in the end, something went horribly wrong and they ended up being losers. It's a segment we like to call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
You go.
You got hosed. You got hosed.
You got hosed.
Gator, you got a host story this week.
Okay, Joe. Well, Monday in the English Premiership League, with 4-game winning streak, Liverpool Reds were at a minus 190 in the three-way betting, and Benford Bees was at a plus 450. Now, Benford hadn't beaten Liverpool since 1938.
Wow.
And in the 19th minute, Liverpool scored an own goal to put Benford up 1-0. And that changed everything, Joe. At that moment, Benford had 2 goals disallowed before they got their next goal, which came at the 42nd minute, so right before halftime. Now, in the 50th minute, Liverpool did find the back of the net, but it wasn't enough. Benford finished Liverpool off in the 84th minute to make the score 3-1. But even though, Joe, during the game from that point from the first goal, there were 5 VAR, video assistant referee or replay calls, that all 5 of them, the referee said there wasn't enough to overturn. So to me, it was kind of like a home field advantage thing right after that first goal. Because like I said, everything changed. But if you had Liverpool 2-way or 3-way, you got hosed.
Yeah, minus 190.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hadn't won since 1938.
Wow.
Do you have a you got hosed story, Richard?
Well, last week I had a you got slimed moment.
Yeah.
This week I got a you got hosed moment. But it's not for me, but it's for the Illinois bettors, for the Illinois Fighting Illini playing against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I told you to take the Bulldogs, and if you did good, but it didn't look good. I can tell you that right now because they were down. It was tied, and they go down there, and you had 3.5 points. Mississippi breaks it all the way to the 1, and they tackle them on the 1-yard line, basically. So they punch it in, right? You're gonna cover the 3.5, right?
Yeah.
No way. They take a knee. They want to kick the field goal, right? So they go backwards, take a knee. Now I'm not looking like I'm really getting hosed. Thanks a lot. He kicks the field goal. They're up by 3. The Fighting Illini, you got 3.5. You have nothing to worry, right? There's 8 seconds left.
Right.
Oh, they decide to go play a little bit of
Lateral
Patriot ball. Yes. And they throw it. And there's a scoop and score from Mississippi State. And guess what? If you took the Bulldogs, you won. And if you took the Illini, you got hosed.
You got hosed.
The Fighting Mike Leaches.
That's a good one.
Yes, the lateral play can kill you.
The latter play is, oh my goodness.
Do you have a you got hosed story for us, Joe?
Well, yes, we kind of foreshadowed that. I had the over-under in the Chicago Detroit game last Sunday, I had the over. It was 52 points. After the first quarter, it's Chicago leading 10-7.
That was it after that.
Yeah.
At halftime, it's Detroit.
And
Yeah, that.
At halftime,
Chicago
it's
decided to
Detroit.
go in the locker room and have a snack.
Still, it's 24-10. At that point, it's doable.
Yeah.
34 points. At the end of 3, it's 38-10. All I need is one more touchdown, 2 more field goals. I get my over, but only 3 points were scored in the fourth quarter, more like the last quarter and a half.
Yeah.
Chicago never scored again after the first quarter. Final score, Detroit 41-10. I lose by 1 point. I got hosed.
Yeah, Detroit hung 41 for you, Joe. I mean, too bad. Chicago said, hey, guess what? I'm going to call it a game. We got 10 points. We're out of here.
Not enough.
You got hosed.
So that's it for the show. We'd like to thank the historic Why Not Saloon in Carson City.
All right. And if you are in Carson City, make sure you stop by the Why Not. It's on Long Street. We have the friendliest staff.
Yes.
We have the friendliest owner because she's a cheesehead and they've won 4 in a row. So if you know Alice, she actually smiled once this week. So we actually have a smiling boss here at the Why Not. Great people, great. We like to thank our lighting, our lighting technician, Miss Brenda, for coming over here and getting the light and giving us the
Spring break.
If you're gonna take a spring break here, make sure you give me a phone call before you do.
After that, I'd like to also thank Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, all our contributors, our editor, producer, and engineer Cornelius, and all you listeners out there, and everyone else that's here.
Hey, that's my cage right here.
There you go. and Boots McCage. And next week, we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. coveringthefield.com.